I held a $75 million lottery ticket in my trembling hands, ready to surprise my husband at his office, when I heard her moans through his door. That's when I smiled, because I knew exactly how this would end. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. My name is Amara Jackson, and if you'd asked me what my life looked like before that Tuesday in September, I would have called it blessed, maybe even perfect. I was living what I thought was the American dream in Charlotte, North Carolina, married to my college sweetheart, Darius Jackson, for 7 years. We had a beautiful 5-year-old daughter named Zara, who was my entire world, my reason for breathing. Darius was a real estate developer, ambitious and driven, always chasing the next big deal. He'd started his own firm, Jackson Property Solutions, 3 years ago, and I'd been his biggest supporter. When Zara was born, I'd left my marketing job to be a full-time mother. I wanted to give her everything, my time, my attention, my love. I wanted to build a home that felt like a sanctuary. Every morning, I'd wake up at 6 to make Darius his favorite breakfast, cheese grits, turkey sausage, and fresh squeezed orange juice. I'd pack his lunch, iron his shirts, and send him off with a kiss that I hoped would carry him through his stressful days. He'd leave early and come home late, sometimes not until 9 or 10 at night. On weekends, he was on his phone constantly, always networking, always closing deals. "Baby, I'm building our empire," he'd tell me when I complained about missing him. "Everything I'm doing is for you and Zara. Just give me a little more time." And I believed him. God, how I believed him. We lived modestly, a 3-bedroom house in a decent neighborhood, 1 reliable car, and careful budgeting. Darius always said the business needed every dollar reinvested. "We're close to breaking through, Amara, real close. Just hold on a little longer." I never questioned him. I managed our household on a tight budget, clipped coupons, shopped sales, and made every dollar stretch. I trusted my husband completely. That Tuesday started like any other. I dropped Zara off at her pre-K program and stopped by the Harris Teeter to grab groceries. As I was checking out, the rain started pouring, heavy, angry sheets that seemed to shake the ground. I ducked into the little gas station next door to wait it out. An elderly black woman sat behind a small table near the entrance, selling lottery tickets. She looked tired, her eyes pleading with each customer who passed. "Powerball's at $150 million tonight, baby. You look like luck is on your side." I smiled politely. I'd never bought a lottery ticket in my life. Gambling felt reckless, and we couldn't afford to waste money on fantasies. But something about her weathered face, the hope in her voice, touched my heart. "How much?" I asked. $2 for 1 ticket, baby." I pulled out a $5 bill. "Give me 2 tickets and keep the change." She beamed at me like I had handed her 100. She asked if I wanted to pick my numbers, and without thinking, I rattled off 5, 12, 23, 34, 45, and 7 for the Powerball. Our family numbers: my birthday, Darius's birthday, Zara's birthday, and our anniversary. I stuffed the tickets in my purse and forgot about them immediately. The next morning, I was wiping down the kitchen counter, half listening to the local news while Zara played with her dolls in the living room. The anchor's voice cut through my distracted thoughts. "Last night's Powerball drawing has produced 1 winning ticket sold right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. The lucky winner has matched all 6 numbers for a jackpot of $150 million. The winning numbers are 5, 12, 23, 34, 45, and Powerball 7. My hand froze mid-wipe. Powerball 7. My heart started hammering so hard I thought I might collapse. I dropped the sponge and ran to my purse, dumping everything onto the kitchen table. Receipts, lip balm, hand sanitizer. Where were those tickets? There, 2 crumpled yellow tickets at the bottom. My hands shook so violently, I could barely hold the first one up to read it. Wrong numbers, but the second one. Powerball 7. "Oh my God," I whispered. I checked again and again. And again. Every number matched perfectly. $150 million. The room spun. I sat down hard in the kitchen chair, my breath coming in short gasps. I couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like me, to stay-at-home moms clipping coupons and shopping clearance racks. But it was real. The ticket in my hand was real. Tears started streaming down my face. Tears of shock, of joy, of overwhelming disbelief. We were rich. Actually, truly rich. Darius wouldn't have to work himself to death anymore. I could hire help, give Zara the best education, buy my parents a house. We could travel, breathe, live. I thought about Darius's face when I told him. He'd probably faint, or laugh, or cry. We'd hold each other and thank God for this impossible blessing. I had to tell him now. I couldn't wait another second. I grabbed my phone to call him, then stopped. No, this news deserved to be delivered in person. I wanted to see his eyes, feel his arms around me, share this moment face to face. I carefully placed the ticket in a zippered pocket inside my purse, scooped up Zara, and called an Uber. "Mama, where are we going?" Zara asked, confused. "To see Daddy at work, baby. Mama has the most amazing surprise for him." My heart felt like it might burst from my chest during the entire 15-minute ride to his office in South End. Darius's firm was in a renovated warehouse. Trendy exposed brick, modern glass, the kind of space that screamed success. I practically ran inside with Zara in my arms. The receptionist, Shanice, a young woman I'd met a few times at company events, looked surprised to see me. "Hey, Mrs. Jackson, is Darius expecting you?" "No, I want to surprise him. Is he in his office?" She hesitated, her eyes flickering with something I couldn't quite read. Yeah, I think so. He said he was in meetings all morning, but..." "Perfect, don't buzz him. I want it to be a surprise." I headed down the hallway before she could respond, my heels clicking against the polished concrete. My pulse raced with excitement. I couldn't wait to see his face. His office door was closed. I raised my hand to knock. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. A woman's laugh. Low, intimate, seductive. "Darius, stop. Someone might hear us." My husband's voice, thick with desire. "Let them hear. I don't care anymore. I'm tired of hiding." The sound that came next was unmistakable. The rustle of clothing, breathless gasps, the rhythmic creak of furniture. My legs turned to water. I stumbled backward, pressing myself against the wall, still with Zara in my arms. She looked up at me with concerned eyes, sensing something was wrong. I covered her ears and moved closer to the door, my heart shattering with every sound. The woman spoke again. "What about Amara?" Darius laughed. Actually laughed. "Amara? She's so busy playing housewife, she has no clue. She thinks I'm out here building an empire for her." "And the business? When are you going to tell her it's failing?" "Why would I tell her? I've got everything structured so she'll take the fall when it collapses. The debt is in her name too. She signed papers without even reading them. When we divorce, she'll be left with nothing but bills." The woman giggled. "You're terrible." "I'm smart. And once I'm free, you and I can finally be together properly. No more sneaking around." My vision blurred. The $150 million ticket in my purse suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The man I loved, the father of my child, had just signed his own death warrant. I backed away from the door silently, still with Zara in my arms, tears streaming down my face. But these weren't tears of heartbreak. They were tears of pure, cold rage. If you're enjoying Amara's story of betrayal and revenge, drop a comment below and let me know what city you're listening from. Your support means everything. Hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And if you want to help me keep bringing these stories to life, consider sending a super thanks. Now, let's see what Amara does next. I don't remember the Uber ride home.
I don't remember buckling Zara into her car seat or walking through our front door. My body was on autopilot while my mind spun in 1,000 directions. Once inside, I set Zara down gently. "Baby, can you go play in your room for a bit? Mama needs to make some phone calls." "Okay, Mama." She skipped off, innocent and unaware that her entire world had just shifted. I locked myself in the bathroom and collapsed onto the cold tile floor, finally letting the sobs come. They racked my whole body, violent, painful heaves that left me gasping for air. 7 years. 7 years of my life given to a man who saw me as nothing more than a convenient fool. The things he'd said echoed in my head. "She signed papers without even reading them. She'll take the fall when it collapses." What papers? My mind raced back through the years. There had been so many documents. Refinancing papers for the house, business loan applications where Darius said he needed me as a co-signer, just as a formality, tax returns I'd signed without fully understanding. He'd set me up. Systematically, methodically, he'd been preparing to destroy me. And that woman, who was she? One of his employees? A client? It didn't even matter. What mattered was that Darius had planned this. All of it. The long hours, the struggling business, the careful control of our finances. He'd been building an escape route while I'd been building a home. I pulled myself together and washed my face with cold water. Looking in the mirror, I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. But I had to think clearly now. I had Zara to protect, and I had $150 million that Darius didn't know about. That ticket was my nuclear weapon, and I needed to be strategic about when and how to deploy it. First, I had to claim the prize without Darius finding out. If I claimed it in my name now while we were still married, he'd be entitled to half, maybe more given the papers I unknowingly signed. He'd use it all to save himself and leave me with nothing. I needed someone I could trust completely, someone who would never betray me. My mother. Lorraine Thompson raised me and my 3 siblings on her own after my father died when I was 12. She'd worked 2 jobs, sacrificed everything, and taught me that Black women had to be twice as smart and 3 times as strong to survive in this world. She was tough, shrewd, and absolutely loyal. I called her immediately. "Mama, I need you to come to Charlotte today, and don't tell anyone, not even Auntie Joyce." The urgency in my voice must have alarmed her. "Baby, what's wrong? Is it Zara?" "Zara's fine, but I need your help with something important, life or death important." "I'll be on the road in an hour." Mama arrived that evening. I'd told Darius I was taking Zara to visit my mother for a few days, that I needed a break and some help with Zara since she'd been difficult lately. He'd been relieved, probably seeing it as an opportunity to spend more time with his mistress. "Take your time," he'd said without even looking up from his phone. "I've got a big deal closing this week anyway." Once we were at Mama's house in Columbia, South Carolina, I put Zara to bed and sat Mama down at her kitchen table. I told her everything. The lottery, Darius's affair, the financial trap he'd set. Mama's face went through every emotion: shock, fury, heartbreak, and finally, cold determination. That sorry piece of... She caught herself, glancing towards Zara's room. That man has no idea who he's dealing with. "Mama, I need you to claim this ticket for me," I said, sliding it across the table. "If I do it, he'll find out, but if you do it, the money stays safe." I looked it up. South Carolina allows lottery winners to remain anonymous. You claim it, put it in your account, and hold it for me until this is over. Mama picked up the ticket with trembling hands. "Baby, this is $150 million. After taxes, about 90 million if we take the lump sum. Mama, this money is going to save Zara and me, but more than that, it's going to destroy him. He thinks he's so smart, setting me up to take the fall for his failed business. He has no idea what's coming. Mama's eyes hardened. What do you need me to do? Over the next 3 days, we executed phase 1 of my plan. Mama went to the South Carolina lottery headquarters wearing sunglasses and a hat and claimed the prize anonymously. She requested the lump sum payment, which came to $92 million after federal and state taxes. The money was deposited into a brand new account at a credit union, with me listed as the sole beneficiary. Darius would never think to look there. As far as he knew, my mother lived on her pension and Social Security. While Mama handled the money, I began my own research. I needed to understand exactly what Darius had done to our finances, and I needed evidence of his affair and his schemes. I started by looking through old files at home, every document I'd ever signed. My stomach turned as I found them. Business loan papers with my name as guarantor, liens against our house, credit cards I didn't know existed, all in my name or jointly held. He'd buried me in debt while I thought we were building a future. I photographed everything and uploaded it to a secure cloud drive. Then, I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. Marcus Webb came highly recommended through a discreet online search. He was a former Charlotte police detective who specialized in infidelity and financial fraud cases. I need to know everything, I told him during our first meeting at a coffee shop in Columbia. The affair, his finances, where the money's really going. Everything. Marcus nodded, his dark eyes professional but sympathetic. How much evidence do you want? Enough to bury him. 2 weeks later, Marcus delivered a file that was even worse than I had imagined. The woman was Naomi Pierce, a 28-year-old real estate agent who'd been working with Darius for over a year. The affair had started almost immediately. Marcus had photos of them together at restaurants, hotels, her apartment. He had credit card statements showing Darius spending thousands on her, designer bags, jewelry, weekend trips, all while I was at home budgeting groceries. But the financial information was the real bomb. Jackson Property Solutions wasn't just struggling, it was a complete fraud. Darius had been taking out loans using inflated property values, then funneling the money into a separate LLC called King Holdings, registered in his father's name. He'd been systematically, methodically moving assets while creating a paper trail of debt that led straight back to me. The business was set to collapse within 6 months, and when it did, I'd be left holding millions in debt, while Darius walked away clean with his hidden assets. Marcus handed me a USB drive. Everything's on here. Bank records, property transfers, photos, and even some audio I managed to get of him and Naomi discussing the plan. Audio? He nodded. Naomi's apartment has thin walls. I got a recording device in the unit next door. You'll want to hear track 3. That night, after Zara was asleep, I plugged in headphones and listened. Darius's voice. Once the divorce is final, I'll have everything clean. Amara will be stuck with the debt, and I'll be free to marry you properly. Naomi. What about Zara? What about her? Kids are resilient. She'll get over it. Besides, once we have our own kids, I'll barely have time for her anyway. I had to rip the headphones off before I threw up. He was willing to abandon our daughter, his own child. That was the moment any remaining piece of my heart that still loved Darius Jackson died completely. I returned to Charlotte 3 weeks after I had left, playing the role of the tired, grateful wife who'd gotten some rest at her mother's house. Did you miss me? I asked Darius when I walked in. He barely looked up from his laptop. Yeah, sure. How was your mom? Good. She sends her love. I went through the motions, cooking dinner, bathing Zara, cleaning the house. But every move I made now was strategic. I was gathering information, playing dumb, waiting for the perfect moment. That moment came 2 months later when Darius sat me down with divorce papers. "Amara, I think we need to talk about our future," he started, his voice fake sympathetic. I felt my pulse quicken, but I kept my face neutral. "What do you mean?" I think we'd both be happier apart. I've been doing some thinking, and I just don't feel the connection anymore. I want a divorce." I let my eyes fill with tears. Real ones, actually, not the reasons he thought. "Darius, no, please. We can work on this. We can go to counseling."
It's too late for that. I've made up my mind. He pushed a stack of papers across the table. I had a lawyer draw these up. I'm trying to be fair here, Amara. Given the state of the business, there's not much to divide. The house will have to be sold to cover business debts. I'm willing to take on most of the liability if you don't fight me on custody. There it was. The trap. Custody? You want to take Zara from me? Joint custody. Week on, week off. It's standard. I knew from Marcus's investigation that Darius had no intention of actually taking care of Zara. He just wanted the option to control her and me later. I pretended to read through the papers, letting tears fall onto the pages. Where will we live? What about Zara's school? You'll figure it out. You're resourceful. His voice was cold. I need you to sign these by Friday. I looked up at him with my best broken expression. Can I at least have a few days to think about it? Talk to my mom? He sighed, irritated. Fine, but I need an answer by Monday. I'm done waiting, Amara. As he walked away, I carefully wiped my tears and smiled. Checkmate was coming. Amara, her revenge plan is taking shape. What do you think she should do next? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're loving this story, hit that super thanks button to support more content like this. Part 3 is coming up next. Monday morning arrived with cold November rain beating against the windows. I'd spent the entire weekend agonizing over the divorce papers. At least that's what I let Darius believe. In reality, I'd been meeting with my own attorney, a sharp Black woman named Simone Harris, who specialized in high net worth divorces and fraud cases. "This is beautiful," Simone had said when I showed her all the evidence Marcus had gathered. "Your husband essentially built you an airtight case. The dummy." Now, standing in our kitchen while Darius poured his morning coffee, I delivered my performance. "I'll sign the papers," I said quietly, not meeting his eyes. Darius's face lit up. Actually lit up. With joy. At my defeat. "You're making the right choice, Amara. This is better for everyone. I just have one request." I wrung my hands together. "Can I keep my car? And maybe a little money for first month's rent somewhere? Just until I can find a job?" I watched something like pity or maybe contempt flicker across his face. "Yeah, sure. I can do $5,000. That's about all I can spare." $5,000. After 7 years of marriage, of building his business, of raising his child. $5,000. "Thank you," I whispered. That's generous." He actually patted my shoulder. "Take care of yourself, Amara. And Zara." I signed the papers that evening with Darius and his attorney present. My hand didn't shake once. I knew something they didn't. These papers were about to become the most expensive mistake of Darius Jackson's life. According to our divorce agreement, we'd have a mandatory 60-day waiting period before the divorce was finalized. Darius moved out immediately, claiming he needed space, but really moving straight into Naomi's luxury apartment in Uptown. I played my part perfectly. I found a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a working-class neighborhood, enrolled Zara in a new school, and even got a part-time job at a Target to make ends meet. I made sure people saw me struggling, counting change, clipping coupons, driving my 10-year-old Honda. Meanwhile, with Simone's guidance, I was building an empire. The first thing we did was establish a trust fund for Zara with $30 million, completely protected, untouchable by anyone, including me. Her future was secured no matter what happened next. The second thing was more delicate. I needed to destroy Darius's business completely, but I needed him to do it himself. That's where Sterling Matthews came in. Sterling was Darius's former business partner, the man who'd co-founded Jackson Property Solutions with him 5 years ago. According to Marcus's research, Darius had forced Sterling out of the company through shady accounting and legal manipulation, leaving Sterling with nothing but debt and a destroyed reputation. I found Sterling working as a property manager for someone else's company, bitter and broken. "Mr. Matthews," I said when I approached him at a coffee shop, "my name is Amara Jackson. I was married to Darius." His expression turned cold. "I know who you are. What do you want?" "I want the same thing you do. Revenge." That got his attention. I laid it all out for him. Everything Darius had done to me, everything I'd discovered about his fraud, and then I made him an offer. "I'm going to give you $10 million to start a new company, a direct competitor to Jackson Property Solutions. You're going to use everything you know about Darius's business model, his clients, his weaknesses, and you're going to destroy him." Sterling stared at me like I'd grown a second head. $10 million? Where would you get? That's not your concern. All you need to know is the money is real, it's legal, and it's yours if you agree to one condition. Darius Jackson's company has to be completely bankrupt within 6 months. Sterling's eyes filled with tears. "Why would you do this? Why help me?" "Because you're not the only one he destroyed. And because I want him to lose everything the same way he tried to make us lose everything." We shook hands. Phoenix Real Estate Group was born that day. The next 4 months were the most intense of my life. During the day, I was struggling single mom Amara, working at Target, barely making rent, fighting with Darius over child support he refused to pay. At night, I was secretly meeting with Sterling, reviewing business plans, approving marketing strategies, and watching Phoenix rise from nothing to a serious competitor. Sterling was brilliant. He knew every one of Darius's clients, every deal in the pipeline, every weakness in his business model. We targeted Darius's biggest commercial clients with better offers, faster service, and more competitive rates. One by one, they started jumping ship. I watched from the shadows as Darius began to panic. He couldn't understand how this new company had appeared out of nowhere and was stealing his clients. He started working longer hours, growing more desperate, making mistakes. His relationship with Naomi was deteriorating too. Marcus kept me updated with photos and reports. Apparently, the mistress who'd been happy to play house with a successful businessman wasn't as enthusiastic about supporting a failing one. They fought constantly about money. Meanwhile, the IRS investigation I'd quietly tipped them to was gathering steam. Agents had started auditing Jackson Property Solutions, looking into the discrepancies I'd flagged between his reported income and his actual spending. Everything was falling into place. The divorce was finalized in March, exactly 60 days after I'd signed the papers. Darius didn't even show up to the courthouse. He sent his attorney. I walked out a free woman, legally separated from the man who'd tried to destroy me. 1 week later, I struck the final blow. I'd been holding on to the USB drive with all of Darius's financial crimes for months, waiting for the perfect moment. That moment came when Sterling told me Darius was meeting with investors to try to save his failing company. I sent the complete file, every document, every photo, every audio recording to 3 places simultaneously: the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, the North Carolina Real Estate Commission, and every single investor Darius was courting. The fallout was spectacular. The FBI opened a formal investigation into Darius for fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. The REC suspended his license pending investigation, and every potential investor pulled out immediately. Jackson Property Solutions collapsed within a week. The news spread through Charlotte's real estate community like wildfire. Darius Jackson, the young hotshot developer, was a fraud and a criminal. His hidden LLC was discovered, his assets frozen, and suddenly all those debts he'd tried to stick with me were traced back to him. I was completely exonerated. In fact, I was seen as a victim, the innocent wife who'd nearly been destroyed by her criminal husband. Naomi left him immediately, of course. She posted a tearful video on Instagram about being deceived by a narcissist and moved to Atlanta. Darius lost everything. His business, his reputation, his freedom. Federal charges were filed. He was looking at 10 to 15 years in prison. And through it all, I played the struggling single mother, working at Target, living modestly, focused on raising Zara. Nobody suspected that the woman clipping coupons had $92 million in the bank. The day of Darius's sentencing, I sat in the back of the courtroom wearing my Target uniform, holding Zara's hand. I'd taken off work specifically to watch this. Darius looked broken. Gray suit that didn't fit right anymore, weight lost from stress, eyes hollow. He didn't even glance in my direction as the judge read out his sentence. 15 years in federal prison for fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. Additionally, restitution of $8.7 million to be paid to defrauded investors and the IRS. The gavel struck. It was over. I walked out of that courthouse with Zara, and for the first time in a year, I felt like I could breathe. But I wasn't done yet. I had one more visit to make. 2 weeks later, I went to the federal detention center where Darius was being held before his transfer to prison. I requested a visitation under my maiden name, Thompson, so he wouldn't know I was coming. When he walked into the visiting room and saw me through the glass, his face went white. I picked up the phone. He hesitated, then picked up his. "What do you want?" His voice was hollow. "I came to tell you something," I said calmly. "Do you remember that Tuesday, almost a year ago, when I came to your office to surprise you?" He stared at me, confused. I had just won the lottery that morning. $150 million. I was coming to tell you, my husband, the man I loved, that all our money problems were over. I watched his face transform from confusion to shock to absolute horror. But then I heard you with her, and I heard what you said about me, about your plan to destroy me and take Zara. "No," he whispered. "That's when I decided you didn't deserve a single penny. So I had my mother claim it anonymously, all $92 million after taxes. Did you know South Carolina allows anonymous claims? Lucky for me." Darius's hands were shaking. You had $92 million this whole time? Oh, it's grown quite a bit with investments. And you know Phoenix Real Estate Group, the company that destroyed your business? I'm the primary investor. I gave Sterling $10 million to take you down. You can't do this." He was shouting now, drawing the attention of guards. "I already did. And here's the best part, Darius. I won that money before we signed the divorce papers, which means legally, I didn't have to tell you about it. You signed away your rights to everything. All for $5,000 and your freedom to be with Naomi. How's that working out for you?" I stood up, ready to leave. "Amara, please." "That's Miss Thompson now. Enjoy prison, Darius. I hope the next 15 years give you time to think about what you did to your family." I hung up the phone and walked away, never looking back. The revenge is complete. But how does Amara's new life look? Find out in the final part. Don't forget to comment where you're watching from and hit that like button. Subscribe for more powerful stories, and if you want to support this channel, send a super thanks. 5 years have passed from that day in the federal detention center, and my life has become something I never could have imagined back when I was the naive housewife clipping coupons and believing in her husband's lies. Zara is 10 years old now, thriving in a prestigious private academy here in Charlotte. She's smart, confident, and completely unaware of how close she came to losing everything. As far as she knows, Daddy made some bad business choices and had to go away for a while. I'll tell her the full truth when she's older, when she can understand complexity and betrayal without it crushing her spirit. We live in a beautiful home in Myers Park, not ostentatious, but comfortable and secure. I bought it under my mother's name, maintained my cover story of working hard and getting lucky with some investments. The neighborhood thinks I'm just a successful businesswoman who pulled herself up by her bootstraps after a difficult divorce. They have no idea I'm worth over $120 million now. The original $92 million has grown substantially through careful investments, and Phoenix Real Estate Group, in which I hold a 70% silent ownership, has become one of the most successful property development firms in the Carolinas. Sterling Matthews runs the day-to-day operations, and he's brilliant at it. Every quarter, he sends me detailed reports of our success. We've developed affordable housing projects, commercial properties, and luxury condos. We're making money while actually helping communities, something Darius never cared about. But here's what I'm most proud of: the Second Chances Foundation. I established it 2 years ago with $20 million in seed money. It's a nonprofit dedicated to helping women who've been financially abused by their partners. Women who, like me, discovered too late that they'd been systematically set up to fail. We provide free legal services, financial counseling, emergency housing, and job training. We help women understand what's in the documents they're signing. We connect them with investigators when they suspect fraud. We give them the tools to fight back. Last year alone, we helped 847 women escape financial abuse situations. 847 women who might have ended up destroyed, like Darius tried to destroy me. The foundation operates under my mother's name as founder, another layer of anonymity, but I'm involved in every major decision. I meet with the women, I hear their stories, and I make sure they get the help they need. I've become exactly what I needed when I was at my lowest: a lifeline. My social life is quiet, but fulfilling. I have a small circle of trusted friends, all women who understand that not everything needs to be posted on Instagram. Mama moved to Charlotte to be closer to Zara and me, and she's thriving too, finally able to relax and enjoy life without worrying about money. I've been on a few dates here and there, but I'm in no rush. The trauma of Darius's betrayal cut deep, and I'm working through it with an excellent therapist. Maybe someday I'll be ready to trust someone again. Maybe not. For now, I'm complete on my own.
Zara asks about her father sometimes. Darius writes her letters from prison, carefully monitored, sanitized versions of his life that avoid mentioning why he's really there. She writes back occasionally, simple notes about school and her friends. I don't discourage their relationship, but I also don't pretend he's something he's not. Daddy made choices that hurt people, I told her once when she asked why he couldn't come home. When we make bad choices, we have to face consequences. That's what being responsible means. She accepted that with the child's simple logic. As she gets older, the questions will get harder. I'm ready for that. Naomi Pierce's life didn't go quite as planned either. After she left Darius and moved to Atlanta, she tried to restart her real estate career. But word travels fast in the industry. Everyone knew she'd been sleeping with a married man and helping him commit fraud. Whether she actually knew about the fraud or not, her reputation was destroyed by association. Last I heard through Marcus, yes, I still keep him on retainer for occasional updates, she was working as a leasing agent at an apartment complex, living in a studio, struggling to make ends meet. The designer bags and luxury lifestyle she'd enjoyed on Darius's stolen money were long gone. I felt no sympathy for her. She knew Darius was married. She knew he had a child. She participated willingly in the destruction of my family, laughing about calling me a country bumpkin while planning her future with my husband. Sometimes karma doesn't need any help. It finds people on its own. The most unexpected development came about 6 months ago. I was at a Second Chances Foundation fundraiser, one of the few public events I attend, always carefully dressed to look successful, but not wealthy, when a woman approached me during the reception. "Miss Thompson?" she said hesitantly. "I'm Eleanor Richards. I wanted to thank you personally." It took me a moment to place her. Then I remembered. Eleanor had been one of our early clients. Her husband had forged her signature on business loans and left her with $200,000 in debt, while he fled to another state with his girlfriend. Our foundation had provided her with legal representation, and we'd successfully proven the fraud, clearing her name and her credit. "Eleanor, of course! How are you? How's everything going?" Her eyes filled with tears, happy ones. "Because of you, I got my life back. I went back to school, finished my nursing degree, and I just got hired at Atrium Health. I bought a little townhouse last month. My kids are thriving. I never thought, after everything he did to me, I never thought I'd feel whole again." She hugged me tightly, and I felt my own tears coming. This right here was why I'd built the foundation. Not just revenge against Darius, but redemption. Proof that one woman's pain could become another woman's salvation. You did the hard work. We just gave you the tools. "You gave me hope," she whispered. "When I had nothing, when I thought I'd lost everything, your foundation showed me I was worth fighting for." After Eleanor walked away, I stood there for a long moment, looking around the room. There were dozens of women like her, survivors, fighters, women who'd been knocked down but refused to stay down. I started this journey thinking only about revenge, but somehow it had become about so much more. Darius is eligible for parole in 7 years. He's written me several letters over the years. They come to my attorney's office, and Simone forwards them with a note asking if I want to read them. I've read exactly one. It was 3 pages of self-pity and manipulation. He claimed he'd been sick during our marriage, that he'd made mistakes, but was getting therapy in prison, that he hoped one day I could forgive him for Zara's sake. Not once did he take actual responsibility. Not once did he say, "I'm sorry for trying to destroy you financially. I'm sorry for planning to take your daughter. I'm sorry for betraying the trust of the woman who loved me." It was all passive voice and deflection. Mistakes were made. Things happened. I wasn't in a good place. I threw the letter away and told Simone to stop forwarding them. Some people never change. They just get better at making excuses. Last month, I did something I'd been thinking about for a long time. I drove out to the cemetery where my father is buried. Daddy died when I was 12, long before any of this happened, but I often wondered what he would have thought about everything. He'd been a proud man, a hard worker, someone who believed in doing right, even when it cost you. I sat by his grave and talked to him. "I know you always taught me that revenge was poison, Daddy. You said to leave justice to God and focus on being better, not bitter." A breeze rustled through the trees. "But I need you to understand something. What I did to Darius, it wasn't just revenge, it was protection. He was going to take everything from me, including Zara. He was going to bury me in debt and destroy my life, and he was going to walk away clean." I placed flowers on his grave. Sunflowers, his favorite. I used the blessing God gave me, that lottery ticket, to protect myself and our granddaughter. And then I used it to help hundreds of other women. So maybe revenge can be righteous when it's protecting people who can't protect themselves. I'd like to think he would have understood. My daddy was a good man, but he was also practical. He understood that sometimes you have to fight back. Zara and I were having breakfast this morning when she looked up from her cereal and asked, "Mama, when I grow up, I want to help people like you do." My heart swelled. "What kind of people, baby?" "People who are sad or scared. People who need someone to believe in them." She tilted her head thoughtfully. "Like those ladies at your foundation." I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "You can be anything you want to be, Zara. You can help people in 1,000 different ways. Will you teach me?" "Every single day." This is what Darius almost stole from me. These quiet morning moments with my daughter, watching her grow into a compassionate, thoughtful person. These peaceful nights when I tuck her in, knowing she's safe and loved and secure. He would have destroyed this all for money and a woman who left him the second things got hard. Sometimes late at night, when Zara is asleep and the house is quiet, I take out that original lottery ticket. I keep it in a safety deposit box at the bank, laminated and preserved. I look at those numbers, 5, 12, 23, 34, 45, and Powerball 7. And I remember the terrified woman I was that day, the woman who just discovered her whole life was a lie, but didn't yet know she had the power to rewrite the ending. If I could go back and tell her anything, I'd say this: your pain has a purpose. Your betrayal will birth something beautiful. The man who tried to destroy you will be the catalyst for you becoming everything you were always meant to be. You are not a victim. You are a survivor, and you're going to help so many other women survive too. The money isn't the miracle. You are. 3 months ago, I made one final decision about my anonymity. I sat down with Simone and told her that I wanted to slowly start becoming more public about my role in the Second Chances Foundation. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Once you go public, Darius will know about the money. People will know your story." "Let them know," I said firmly. "I'm tired of hiding. And maybe my story can inspire other women to fight back. Maybe seeing someone who came out the other side will give them hope. So next month, I'm doing my first interview with a local Charlotte news station. I'm telling my story, all of it. The betrayal, the lottery, the revenge, and the redemption. I'm going to own my narrative instead of letting shame or fear control it. Darius Jackson tried to make me a cautionary tale, the foolish wife who signed away her future. Instead, I'm going to be an inspiration, the woman who turned devastation into determination and then into a legacy of helping others. This morning, I took Zara to her gymnastics class, came home and did some yoga, then reviewed the quarterly financials for Phoenix Real Estate Group. This afternoon, I have a meeting with the foundation's board about expanding our services to include job placement programs. It's a good life. A rich life, not because of the money in the bank, but because of the peace in my heart. I think about that elderly woman in the gas station sometimes, the one who sold me that lottery ticket. I wonder if she's still there, still selling hope for $2 a ticket. I wonder if she knows she changed my life. If I ever see her again, I'm going to tell her, "Thank you for giving me more than a winning ticket. You gave me a second chance at life, and I've spent every day since trying to pass that gift forward." Zara just called me from her room. "Mama, can we make cookies?" "Of course, baby. Come on down." These are the moments that matter. Not the money, not the revenge. Not even the justice, though all of that was necessary. What matters is this: I protected my daughter, I built a life worth living, I helped hundreds of women do the same. And every single day, I wake up free. Darius Jackson is in prison, and I'm living my best life. That's not revenge. That's victory. The end. Thank you so much for joining me on Amara's incredible journey from betrayal to triumph. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and let me know what city you're listening from. I love hearing from you.
If you want to support more powerful stories like this, consider sending a super thanks. Your support means the world and helps me keep bringing you these life-changing stories. On your screen right now, you'll see 2 more incredible stories I think you'll love. There are so many more on my channel waiting for you. Remember, your story isn't over until you say it is. No matter what you're going through, you have the power to rewrite your ending. Until next time, stay strong, stay blessed, and never let anyone dim your light. With love and respect, your storyteller.